Adventures across the cosmos with 2D delves. Man, we haven't seen this drop cloth in a while. It's a little loud, it's a little busy. That's okay. It's going to make a fine contrast for the rulebook because today we are going to be going through the post-battle sequence for 2D delves, a solo and co-op fantasy skirmish adventures rule set. And this is, like so many of its ilk, and I say that with all the love in my heart, one of those solo skirmish games that gives you a functioning AI and it gives you some rules that allow you to build the connective tissue to turn a simple string of skirmish fantasy battles into a long and ongoing campaign. And it does so by giving you two resources that you have to manage: quest points and treasure points. And the wonderful thing is, at the end of every scenario, you get to choose however many victory points you won. You can put them into your pile of quest points or your pile of treasure points, but it gives you a very strong incentive to keep that very balanced because, as you will see shortly, it's expensive to play this game using that economy. Now, with all of that out of the way, I'll just refresh your memory. We put the souls of the Joyous Chorus to rest. That's the Joyous Chorus of the King of the, what was it, King Amonon's? I just got done reading, I want to say Samanon, because I just got done reading Glenn Cook's Dread Empire series, where Samamon is read it. It's weird, but it's not. It's so you roll as we saw last time. We roll our scenario, of which there are 6. We had excavation, which was essentially drop 5 locations, search them all, and if you find the magic item and get it off the table, you're good. So we rolled for a little thematic, all of these charts, lots of different possibilities. We had to put to rest the Joyous Chorus of Hanuman's Elder Army. That's what it is. I probably should have done a little research before this. How? In our last, we did one episode setting up the campaign, building our characters. We did one episode of the battle, and now we're on to step 3, post-battle. And I should probably point out, I totally forgot that I rolled a weird event which gave everyone a -1 perception. It was a really foggy day, apparently, but I don't think it matters. I don't think we had to make any perception checks on that last battle. We fought a whole bunch of wolves, we drove them off, and when you get to the post-battle sequence, so here we go, Part 1, Fate of the Fallen. If you have, this, for those of you that have been doing this for a while, there's no secrets here. If anybody died, they ran out of health, then we're going to roll to a D66 roll to see what kind of grievous wounds. Maybe they're dead. So you roll a D66, and on an 11 through 13, he's dead. Becomes one with the universe. Mourn them, then make a replacement. And then there is a little bit of an economy here. If you spend 2 of your quest points from your treasury, then you get new blood, and you have the option. If you are old school, hardcore, hurt me plenty, then start them at tier 1. They have no advances. Middle ground, start them with half the advances most experienced party member. Now, we don't have any advances yet because, as you'll see shortly, you have to wait until after the second battle. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We have this thing called Bitter Enmity, and this is one of the nice little additions to the campaign that Scott Pyle, author of 2D Delves, provides. He says, check to see if the battle you just finished earned your party a bitter enemy. They may find a way, it says will, but they may find a way to turn up again and plague your group. So we roll a d6, and on a 1 or a 2, I don't understand, there's probably some way that you can earn, I bet you know what it is. I bet you it's weird events. Because we're going to roll a d6. You wouldn't think I could roll a 0, but somehow I'll bet you could manage that. And so, but for today, because I don't have any bonuses, on a 1 or a 2, the wolves will become our bitter enemy, and on a 3, 4, 5, they are just another foe. And then on a 6, they become a respected rival. And if you get the bitter enemy and the respected rival, then you actually earn a quest point. You have some new experience having to watch your back trail for your new enemies. See, -1 if your enemy's leader survived. Oh, so that does. He did not. Remember, we killed the dire wolf. +1 if you slew your enemy to the last model. Now, I have to ask. We chased them all off, but we didn't slay them all. Do we get a +1? Doesn't matter. 4 + 1 would still be 5, which would still be, they're just regular enemies. So the wolves closed in a little bit too late. We drove them off at about dawn, and we were able to escape with a little bit of loot. Now we do experience, and as I said, you make a character advance after every other fight. For every 2 fights, you get 1 advance, and you roll on this little table. We've only done 1 fight, so we don't have to worry about that. You can earn titles as you gain advances. And if you prefer to picking just instead of rolling, yeah, go ahead, but limit your stat increases to every 3rd advance if you do it that way. Okay, lots of flexibility. This is 1 part wargame, 1 part a role-playing game. But bear in mind, we are still not done. Oddly enough, so it looks like, we're into creatures and foes. We have to go back to the very beginning step. But before, to really complete this, but before we do that, you got to take a look at the scenario you played. Remember that you must get, if you get the magic item, in other words, so we laid the spirits to rest. The temple is cleaned. The ruined castle is cleaned of the spirits of the joyous chorus. And by way of reward, they showed us where a treasure was buried. So we dug that up, and that gives us +1 quest point. Stick a pin in that. We're going to come back to it. Randomly determine what type of magic item your treasure is using the rules presented in Chapter 2. All right, so stick a pin in that. You can also task your parties. We did this. So on a success, we found 1 point worth of booty. Okay, but costs 1 slot to carry. So you can run out of encumbrance before you've recovered all of the loot. All right, what that means is, now we're going to go back to step 1, okay, which is at the start. Well, it kind of had to be because you start with 4 quest points. So what do we got? Well, did we, lost. Well, we didn't lose the fight. Remember that when we rolled for unusual events on our way to the ruins, we rolled, it was like a 32, and then we had to make a perception check. And because we failed, we had that -1. Oh, no. Because we failed, we lost the 1 quest point. So we're already at -1. But because you played a battle, you get 1. And because we scored an extra loot plus the magic item, that's 2. And then because we won the battle by succeeding in our mission, so that gives us a total of +3 quest points, which is a loss in my book, because when we get back around to setting up our next fight, which we'll do shortly, you'll find that you have to pay treasure points, these quest points, from your treasury, or else you suffer debilitating effects. You can starve to death. So the fact that we have to pay, wait a second. No, we broke even because I've only got 3 dudes. In a normal fight where you've got 4 guys, but of course if we had 4 guys, we might have gotten away with the 1 extra loot counter, which would mean we have 4 points, and we still would have broken even. We would not have gotten anywhere closer towards our 10 points of quest point victory margin. So keep that in mind as you play. If you're playing a full-blown game, you can get companions, then you got to start paying for them. Now you better be scoring 5 quest points per adventure, and that probably means you better hope that you're getting quest points on all those D66 rolls. It also means you have to risk it for the hardtack biscuits. You got to do those D66 rolls because the tabletop game itself ain't enough. You need to run the campaigns. And as I say that, it strikes me that's a pretty clever way to run a game. As I said, so yeah, we're gonna do. I don't think we're gonna get all the way through a legendary. There's too many good games out there to get to, and I want to show them all to you. But we're gonna play, at least I would say at least 2 or 3 of these scenarios, so we can show you the power ups too. That being the case, we're still not done. Remember, we have to roll for our magic item, and it's up here in the front. So here's my notes. I'm going to be using these Post-it notes to remind myself of stuff because it's a good session, a good solo session. 30 minutes, 45 minutes to figure out, run through the post-battle and the pre-battle, and then you can tuck that aside, take really good notes. But now you've got the inspiration for setting up a brand new table. And I would never have thought to run a castle ruin table had I guess we don't call them random tables anymore. I guess the procedurally generated, because that sounds a lot more, I don't know, it sounds more Reddit tier to me. It sounds a lot more smart. I'm not interested in fluff. I'm interested in the game's lore, because lore is brainy. Fluff is not. Okay, guys. Enough for the word magic. Let's roll some dice. So your characters begin with campaign with these items. Oh, they can't begin with these items, which makes, so I guess it makes a lot of sense that you put it right up in the front with the rest of the gear. I don't know. I would have put it in the rear as a rewards with the rest of the experience, but that's just me. I mean, who's the game designer here, huh? Random magic items. So we're going to roll a d6 to find out what it is. And on a result of a 5, we get a magic weapon. Ooh, our barbarian's going to like that. And then you roll. So look here, right? There's another table for each one of these. Minor magic items, spells, potions, armor. But we got the weapons. So now we roll. And on a 1, 2, or 3, it's a melee. And on a 4, 5, or 6, it's a ranged. And I'm going to re-roll that because it's off the screen. So on a 4, 5, 6, we got a ranged weapon. And then 2 is light, 4 is medium, 5 and 6 is heavy. So we get a magic medium weapon. But wait, there's more. All magic weapons do +1 extra damage for their type and weight. All right, so we're going to have a medium crossbow now that does the exact same amount of damage, but it takes up 1 less loot slot. I think that's the way this works. And then, not only that, but they have one other random effect. Oh, and cost 1 less gear slot. In other words, my medium weapon is going to take the same amount of gear slots as a light. So I think it only takes 1. So we're getting +3 damage for only 1 gear slot as opposed to the heavy. And, we could probably look that up. I've got these pieces of paper here that have somewhere in here. Oh, there we go. So let's take a look. Gimpy, I call him that because he only moves 4 inches. He had a heavy armor. He had a crossbow, which took up 2 slots. So his new magic crossbow only takes up 1 slot. And that means that he now has 3 slots left over. So if we want to send him running off to pick up loot, I don't know why we would. I mean, look at that. We got like 4 slots for our mage. But as I said, we get to roll an extra d6 for extra bonus powers. Once per game, use your move action to change positions with one other model. Oh man, this is a pretty boss move. We can use our speedy little elf to get into position and then bloop, trade places. And look at that. So that's actually, I'm really impressed with that power up. I think that's going to pay off big dividends. It's the same as the spell that our wizard has, except it's automatic once per game. Let's take a look at our campaign tracker. As I said, we started off with 4 quest points in our treasury. I'm going to go ahead and play the odds here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 to my legendary quest points. And then I'm going to add 2. Remember, we won 3, so we're up to 6 in our treasury. But as I said earlier, we have to spend 1 quest point per adventurer, so we're going to be down to just 3. That means we do have all the treasure that we need to get to the 3rd adventure. I'm playing it a little bit slow, a little bit casual, a little bit conservative. Don't hate me for that. I don't want my guys starving, because if you take a look at the Please Sir May I Have Some More chart, these can be pretty nasty. 2 random characters start the battle at -1d6 health. Weapons break on a fumble of 1 to 2. It's going to cost you a treasury point. On top of being starving, it's going to cost you a treasury point to replace it. Poor training. 1 PC suffers a bane on their first attack, defense, or spell. That's not too bad. And then there is a 1 in 6 chance that, you're fine. I don't like them odds. This, of course, brings us back to the quest generator. We roll a d6 to find out what row. We're back into quest row B. This time we have to seek out the ghostly children of the Ivory Goddess. And it occurs to me, this is being recorded before the first couple of episodes went live, this is actually the goal of the entire campaign. The whole quest is to seek the ghostly children of the Ivory Goddess. Well, okay, that's fine. I guess I kind of messed that one up, but that's all right, because that gives us our inspiration for whatever battle comes next. Pre-battle. So we did that. So we go to the journey table, and you can do this Warhammer Quest style, which says and I guess you can use hex maps like this. We're somewhere up around here for the ruined castle. And then maybe we come down to the river and we're going to go to Kaz. I don't know. I'm not going to worry too much about that. We're keeping it fairly loose here. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to try to journey. So we have our navigator make a 7-up perception check. Remember that our best perception is our dwarf. He gets a +2. So with a result of a 9, I'm sorry, 8, 10, we scored another 3. So we can move 4 hexes, which will get us there in 1. And I guess that's one thing you could do. If you really want to give yourself a challenge for the quest, you could say, oh, I have to make sure I travel 4 hexes. Well, I'm traveling 4. But if you rolled a high enough number, oh, I got a 6, it might take you 3 journeys, 3 fights just to get to the end of the quest. Depending on how you do it. No matter the results of your journey, if you choose to make the trip, you have a chance to lose 1 or more of your bitter enemies. So this is a reason you want to travel, but we don't have any, so we'll skip past that. We are going to do on the journey to wherever our destination is. We'll get to that. We roll a D66, and this time we get a 53. And as we are traveling, we have an early arrival. We pick 2 random models. They get a free move before round 1. Gee, I wonder if Gimpy is going to be one of those models. Now that we've done our journey, we can hunt for resources. In between adventures, your PCs can pursue various interests. Each PC can roll in one of the following 2 tables. Hunt for resources or magical investigations. Well, let's do it. I like this. So we're going to roll once for Gimpy, and he gets a 63. The black die will always be the 10s. And a 63 means you find a connection to the House of Healing, restore a lost stat point. If none of them are down a stat, you can save this for a time when one of them is. Okay, so free stat healing, and then our Barbarian gets a 63, so we get a couple of free stat heals. Monsters, traps, there's various environmental effects that can permanently reduce your stat, so I'll make a note of that. And then for our Elfie Boy, we get a 60. What is happening? What are the odds? At least we have a different table here. I kind of want to show you guys like lots of different stuff. 63 3 times in a row? And it was 6. Man, that's bizarre. Okay, you're engaged by a rival in a non-lethal contest of Magical Might. Make a 7+ charisma or intelligence check. Of course, Keebler, our Elfie Boy, has got an intelligence of +2. We're going to roll his intelligence. So 6 + 2 is 8. On a success, you earn +1 quest point. Yeah, boy. So just like that, I told you there were ways to. So we get some information. This is how we got the map that allowed us to travel overland 4 total hexes and why we were able to go so quickly. The next thing we do is roll for the battle setup. But before we turn the page on that, I think this is a little weird. I think this do your resources should have come before the travel. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's personal preference. Whatever. So we had to kind of retcon. And I think maybe the idea is don't think about these steps as individual chapters in the journey. Just think about what they all are, and you can kind of retcon after you've got all of your notes gathered for the different adventures that we had. Yeah, we had a good result, and then we won a magical duel. Okay, I guess that magical rule means that the reason we had that good result and the reason we traveled so far is because... But you were there. I think you were there for that video. It was 2 minutes ago. This time we're going to do a rescue. And the rescue is your group has been engaged to patrol the hinterlands of some prosperous but embattled community. Oh, yeah, this is why you probably want to roll them all and then step back and do your journaling. A cry goes up, a horn sounds. I guess maybe one of Keebler's friends got kidnapped, and that's why he had to beat up his rival to find out where. Place D6, so we're going to place 7 commoners and array your foes around them. And here is the stat for the commoners. So I'm going to make another little note here. Rescue, we've got 7 commoners, and they'll be set up, a nearby settlement, farmstead outpost, or inhabited structures under attack by raiders. Okay, place this key location in the center of your map. These are not fighters. The commoners have set up rough barricades that have held till now. And then what do we do? The primary goal of your foes will be to slay the commoners. Once they see and contact your PCs, they'll shift towards you. Depending on how many commoners you roll, break them into 2 or 3 small groups. Assign them 1 initiative chip per group. They can't move until round 2. Now, we do get a free round. Where do we start, though? The battle ends when the last commoner is either rescued or slain. So I think what's going to happen is, if this is our table, I'll zoom in on that a little bit so we can kind of make it out. What do you say? So here's our, oh, my camera's doing some funny stuff. So here's our table. So we're going to put a little something here where our commoners are, and then our heroes will have to start here, and then we'll roll, as we saw in the last episode, for where the enemies. So the enemies might start within 6 inches of us, 24, or on the opposite side. So that means that we're going to have to rush up to the farmhouse. And the good news is, Gimpy at least, and probably Mr. Barbarian, have that free move. Also, we have the free swap. And of course, we can cast a free swap spell, but that takes, we'd rather use my blaster spells. The other question is going to be, where does this take place and how dark is it? So remember, for the darkness, we have a chart that we roll, and on a result of a 1, there you go, nighttime. That's not good. Our offensive power is at a range. We can light them up, but our range is now limited to 6 inches. Man, that's really going to hurt. All right, well, let's find out what our terrain is going to look like. We roll once to find out we're in a desert. I've got desert. That's great. And then I roll a second time to find out that we have not natural cavern, caravanserai. Okay, this is great. I've got some camels. I'm going to have to come up with some proxy civilians. The last thing that we need to do is figure out who the opposition is. And again, it's just a simple d6 roll. And on a result of a 6, we've got more wolves. I just put the wolves away. All right. So, more wolves. And this time we're going to go with the full, well, I think we were good. I think that was pretty fair. Particularly because this time, you see, we got we're going to do 3 wolves and the dire wolf. And particularly because this time our battle is different. It's an entirely different scenario with a caravan that has stopped in a caravanserai, which is just like a walled campground, and they're attacked by wolves, and we show up ready to rescue them. They're attacked at night, so I think what we'll probably do is drop a tent and a fire again in the center, but there's only light in that initial 6 inches, and the wolves are crazy fast. So wouldn't you know it, how convenient is that? I already have, wait, that's not it. Is that my creature? Yeah, I already have my creature already set up. Wolves and wolves. We're ready for battle number 2. Thanks for coming along on this interlude and setup for the next battle. And you know, let's not lose sight of the fact that we've got some power. Well, we got the one little power up, but it's not going to do us any good at night, is it? The other thing, before I close out, we break our party into 2 subgroups and place each one on a random table edge. So I was a little wrong on that. We'll have to adjust just that. The primary goal of your foes will be to slay commoners. Once they see and contact PCs, they'll shift their focus appropriately. The commoners cannot move until round 2. Once they see that rescue is a possibility, their primary goal will be to run toward the safety of either of your party's deployment edges. You gain 1 quest point for each commoner you escort off of one of your deployment edges. The battle ends when the last commoner is either rescued or slain. So an interesting set of decisions to make in this next desert episode of The Joy of Wargaming. 2D Delves by 4Color Studios. You can get a copy at 4-colorstudios.com. Nice spiral bound. This is available at Lulu or at Wargames Vault. And he left a comment in a recent video. He's actually trying to get some perfect bound. I think that's what they call it, like glue bound through Wargames Vault as well. So that even may be available by the time this video goes live. Look for it wherever fine war games are sold online at 4-colorstudios.com. Till then, I'm praying for you.